Something is breaking down inside the PGA Tour right now, and the timing could not be worse, because the 3M Open tees off in a matter of days. This is not about one bad tournament or one unhappy player. This is about rule changes so controversial that 5 of the biggest names in professional golf have publicly spoken out against them. Players who normally stay quiet, players who choose their words carefully, and yet every single one of them said something out loud that the golf world is still struggling to believe. Smaller field sizes, fewer exempt cards, a ball rollback nobody asked for, a new CEO reshaping the tour from the top down. These changes are hitting players in their careers, in their livelihoods, and the frustration is boiling over right as the tour rolls into Minnesota. Honestly, I think this is one of the most serious internal fights the PGA Tour has faced in years. Do you agree? Drop your take in the comments right now. I read every single one. And if behind-the-scenes PGA Tour coverage is your thing, hit subscribe. That's exactly what this channel is built for. But before we get to the 5 names, you need to understand the rule that started all of this, because most fans have never even heard of it. The PGA Tour has always run on one simple promise. Perform well enough, and you keep your spot. You earn your card, you keep your career, and nobody can take that away from you. That promise is now being questioned. New CEO Brian Rollback took over with a plan to reshape how the tour operates. Smaller field sizes, fewer fully exempt players, cut from 125 down to 100, a more condensed schedule, and underneath all of it, a golf ball rollback set for 2028 that will force every professional to play a ball that travels 13 to 15 yards shorter than today. The tour says, smaller fields fix pace of play. The governing bodies say the rollback protects historic courses. The players are not buying any of it. Lucas Glover is a 6-time PGA Tour winner and the 2009 US Open champion, not someone known for making noise. But when the field size cuts were announced, he said exactly what he thought. He called the changes terrible. He said hiding behind pace of play challenges players' intelligence. And then came the line that spread everywhere. They think we are stupid. He went further, saying there are 200 guys out here for whom this is their life and their job. His real accusation, the tour is using pace of play as a cover story for a simpler motive, keeping a handful of superstars happy enough that they don't leave for LIV golf. Then, a major champion who never causes controversy stepped in. Matt Fitzpatrick, the 2022 US Open champion, measured, professional, not a player who courts controversy. Within hours of Glover's comments, he posted his own response. Glover was so right, he said, and it's pathetic that pace of play gets talked about every single year and nothing ever gets done. 2 major champions, 2 public statements, 1 clear message. But field sizes were just the warm-up. The rule that actually made players lose their minds was the ball rollback. The USGA and the R&A announced that from 2028, professionals will be required to play a ball that travels up to 15 yards shorter. Their reasoning, modern players hit the ball so far that legendary courses are being made to look ordinary. Most players think this is completely wrong. Justin Thomas, a 2-time major champion, said it's bad for the game of golf. Bryson DeChambeau called it the most atrocious thing you could possibly do to the sport. Across the locker room, the message was almost universal. Players don't want it, don't trust it, and don't believe it fixes anything. But one player on this list didn't just accept the rollback, he publicly defended it, and his name is the last one you'd expect. Rory McIlroy actually supports the ball rollback. He's argued it won't meaningfully affect average golfers, and that it puts the game back on a path toward sustainability. He's one of the very few high-profile players willing to say that publicly. That's 5 voices now on the record. Glover and Fitzpatrick tearing into the field size cuts, Thomas and DeChambeau blasting the ball rollback, and McIlroy standing alone, defending a rule almost nobody else in the locker room wants. And even Rory couldn't stay quiet for long. At the 2026 PGA Championship, held just last week, McIlroy publicly criticized the course setup, saying the best setup spread the field, and a bunched leaderboard is a sign of a setup that hasn't done its job. Scottie Scheffler went further, calling certain pin positions absurd and saying it was the most difficult setup he'd seen in 7 years on tour. Justin Thomas said he'd never seen a leaderboard so bunched in his entire life. 3 of the best players in the world, same tournament, same complaint. And now, every one of those frustrated players is heading straight into the 3M Open, and straight toward the FedEx Cup playoffs, at the exact moment trust in tour leadership is at its lowest point in years. Ricky Fowler, a former world top 5 player, captured the wider mood earlier this year. He said the tour might be heading toward fewer cards and fewer events, and questioned whether the direction the tour is moving actually reflects what the PGA Tour is supposed to represent. And yet, despite 5 players speaking out, despite a fight now spilling into consecutive tournaments, the tour hasn't changed a single thing. This isn't a locker room rumor. This isn't one player venting after a bad round. This is 5 separate, respected voices, hitting 5 separate issues, all landing in the same few weeks, right as the tour heads into the 3M Open and the playoffs that follow. Some of these changes might make sense individually. Tighter fields can sharpen competition. A cleaner schedule can help the product. But when you cut the cards, shrink the fields, roll back the ball, and do all of it at once without real player buy-in, you don't get modernization. You get exactly what we're watching right now. 5 names attached to a revolt, and the tour's biggest events still to come. So here's what I want to know. Do you think the tour has crossed a line? Or do you think the players are overreacting to changes that make sense long-term? Drop it in the comments. I want to know exactly where you stand. And if you're not subscribed yet, now is the time. Because between the ball rollback fight, the field size cuts, and 3 of the biggest names in golf openly clashing with leadership at back-to-back events, this story is far from over. The players are still talking, and something tells me the loudest voices haven't spoken yet.